Hello and welcome to an all-new Geek World Order video. Randy here, and today we are continuing our look into the first season of X-Men 97, the continuation of the original X-Men animated series from the 90s. And today we're looking at episode 6 of the season, Remember It. So we start with our previously on X-Men, and it's Gambit who does the previously on this week, giving an indicator that he's going to play a factor into the episode this week. Alright, so we start out at the X Mansion, and our reporter Trish Tilby is outside of the X-Men mansion. She's got a story to bring from the mansion today. Of course, Trish Tilby, the character we've seen before, has had a connection to Beast, so good to see her back. And we get an interview with, so we get the interaction between her and Hank. They are having some nice back and forth. She pays him a nice compliment. He blushes. Yes, even through that blue fur, that man is capable of blushing. Yep. And then Jubilee's kind of just making some wisecracks about the training. You know, they train with robots and vampires and all sorts of crazy things. But the mood is definitely a changing thing. We're getting this peek into the lives of the X-Men and mutants, because this is a big day for mutant kind. The mutant nation of Genosha is being admitted into the UN. So we cut to Genosha, where the Blackbird is flying, and inside the Blackbird are Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit. The shots between Magneto and Gambit here, you know, because Gambit's not exactly trusting in them right now, and Magneto makes a little bit of a comment about how if the new Blackbird were to run into any issues, well, Gambit's kind of the only person on the plane who's not capable of flying. Okay. So we get the landing, and there's really like a Wakanda kind of vibe. Like in Black Panther, when you see the entrance of Wakanda, and just kind of the overarching majesty of it, and the music has that kind of vibe to it. And we see a ton of mutant cameos. We see like Dazzler, Glob, Boom Boom, Multiple Man. I think we see Azazel at some point. There are so many mutants that I don't even know the names of. Leech has worked with a group of mutant children, so there's a lot of cameos here, and even I don't know all of them, so yeah. But we kind of get an idea of the scope of Wakanda. Genosha. And then as they land, they're greeted by Madeline Pryor. So we get a nice little update on her. She's made it her way to Genosha, and she's kind of a big old muckety-muck up in their hierarchy structure. But yeah. So not long after they land, the ruling council would like to have a meeting with Magneto. So yeah, he's definitely not the so we see kind of going through but what are Rogue and Gambit gonna do while Magneto's having his meetings? Well, luckily they get a little visitor, and it's Nightcrawler. We see Nightcrawler poofing around the Bam! That was the noise. That was the noise that the comics made for him. How they printed out the text. Boom, pow. Yeah, Nightcrawler's teleporting noise was Bamf. And let's just face it, Nightcrawler is a Bamf, if you know what a Bamf is. So they kind of explore the island, and they're kind of in awe of it, and kind of an interesting exchange here. Rogue's kind of like, you know, it's exactly how he said it would be. And Gambit's like, who? The professor? And she's like, yeah, we'll go with that. So we definitely see that there's a lot of influence on the island. They're still working on the infrastructure. Things are very pricey on the island. Like apples are like $10 a piece. So yeah, there's some things going on. And through it all, Nightcrawler definitely sees the way Gambit looks at Rogue, and they kind of look at each other, and he's like, dude, just marry the girl and get it over with. You know, and Gambit's kind of playing it off. He's like, oh, I'm the loner. I don't, love's not in the cards for me. It's like I'm too broken. Nightcrawler just like, dude, great quote here. He just says, there is no love without sin. Love is best measured in what we forgive. So definitely some foreshadowing here. Probably not realizing some of the stuff that's going on here. So just a great, powerful quote if you kind of know the context of the season so far and just kind of the dynamic there. But we go back over to the X-Mansion, and Trish Tilby is now interviewing Cyclops, the leader of the X-Men. Whoo boy. Yeah, she's hitting some hard questions here. First, she starts out by kind of, bringing up Jean and their love, and he starts recanting the story, because she asks him, how did you know? And how did you know she was the one? And then we cut to Jean, who is kind of somewhere on the property. I think there's like a lake or something. She basically kind of built this wall up around her with the water. She's going through the various memory pieces that she has. And, she's been in this emotional state. She's trying to put things together, kind of trying to figure out, who was what, her memories of the Phoenix Force. And Wolverine comes to find her. And they talk about it, kind of. And he knows about past memories. He's given her some advice. Just, keep moving forward. Because, memories are a hard thing. And he's definitely built up a lot of them because he's definitely lived over 100 years. We've seen that we've seen his past reference, even in the original series, his time in World War II, working with Captain America. So, yeah. He's definitely understood it. And they kind of, the two of them have a moment together. And Jean is recanting the same story that Cyclops is telling, obviously from her perspective. And kind of, it focuses on the point after the Phoenix, where she's inhabited by the Phoenix. And she uses that power to suppress Cyclops' power. And they see eye to eye. He can actually look at her with his real eyes and not just, have the optic beams just like coming out of a portal in his eyes, basically. And it's definitely a lot. Jean is feeling very isolated. She's got a lot of questions. She's questioning her whole relationship with Cyclops. And then all of a sudden, she kisses Wolverine. And we all know that Wolverine has very strong feelings for her. But in this moment, Wolverine kind of has to be the voice of reason. Even she's kind of like, oh, whoa, what did I do? And he just kind of lays it out on the line here. He's like, listen, you're Jean Grey, he's Scott Summers. Those are the rules. You just forgot him for a second. And he's kind of just being the voice of reason here. And if Wolverine is the voice of reason, there's probably a lot going on. Which for Jean, yes, there is a lot going on. Very complex feelings, very complex thoughts. So he understands, and he knows what she's going through. And he's like, hey, I get it. You just got ahead of yourself for a minute there. You just kind of lost sight of what was going on. Oh boy. So we cut back to the interview with between Trilby and Scott. Oh boy. And she goes into the birth of Nathan and the hospital records, and obviously a touchy subject. Cyclops straight up loses it. Like, Cyclops goes really dark here for some reason. And it's just like, we lie because you're different. And there's this weird tonal shift where Cyclops is almost starting to sound like villain Magneto. So there's a very odd shift here, and it's kind of interesting to. I definitely want to see where this one goes. So we go back to Genosha and we see the ruling council, and there's a very interesting personality mix here. So we see two members of the Hellfire Club. We see Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost. We also see Banshee and Moira McTaggart. So apparently she's the human representative of here, which is fine. But basically they kind of lay out their idea for Magneto. They want him to be the leader. At least even if it's just in a figurehead position. At least publicly they want him to be the leader and be the image. And he gets it, and even he's like, was there really nobody better to lead this? And Moira is just kind of like, yeah, there was, but Charles isn't exactly here now, so yeah. And it kind of has this nice moment of reminiscing and back to a bar in Germany where they actually kind of hash out and they first talk about Charles's dreams, his aspirations, his visions for human mutant coexistence. But he does end up agreeing to be the figurehead leader here on one condition. So we cut back to Magneto's quarters where he's staying here. Rogue flies in and she's not exactly happy. And she's kind of seeing, or at least from her perspective, it seems to be kind of, to her, it seems like a play for power. And she's not exactly having it. And he's laying on the charm. He's kind of showing her the benefits and how this will ultimately work towards Charles's vision. So, yeah, she definitely got a lot to think about right now. So she kind of storms off. We cut back to the X Mansion where Scott and Jean are talking. They kind of they're still continuing to hash out their feelings, and he just starts talking about Nathan and what he sees, and yeah. But during this, we learn that Scott and Madeline are still communicating via the psychic bond that he also has with Jean. And Jean does not take that very well. She basically kind of kicks Madeline out of the dream, and there's a momentary lapse where Emma Frost notices. So I wonder if we're going to get some of the Emma Frost Cyclops dynamic. Could be something maybe we see in season 2, because we know at least in season 2, I think they're working on season 3. So that could be a take from the comics that we could see here. But yeah, they very much argue. And unfortunately, we're back to the interview with Beast, and their camera crews are right there. Like, one of the camera guys actually turns around and starts filming Scott and Jean. So yeah, not the best place to have an argument. Even Hank's just like, oh dear. Yeah, no, it's yeah. So they go outside, they kind of argue more, and Cyclops is kind of being a dick here. And he's kind of like, do you really love me? Is it just the memories? No, he straight up sounds like a dick here, so. Yeah. And then Jean kind of has this momentary thing where she's kind of hit, with a psychic energy thing, and she stumbles, has a nosebleed. It's a little weird. So yeah. But then we go to Rogue and Gambit. Gambit's getting ready. He's looking sharp. He's looking pretty fly in that white suit. She comes up, and basically they hash it out. They talk it. They get a lot of their feelings out on the table. And Rogue goes into her relationship with Magneto. How they met. How they kind of shared their ideals. he won her over with his charisma. And then they learn the reason that their past was so powerful, basically, because yes, Magneto's electromagnetic field that he creates actually neutralizes her powers. So basically, he can basically wrap himself up with his electromagnetic field, and they can literally physically touch. So yeah, things get a little hot and heavy, but then Rogue kind of realizes the emotional turmoil that he's carrying, and she can't deal with it. So eventually, they leave, and she joins the X-Men down the line. But overall, they're still kind of on these terms, but more or less, as of right now, Rogue and Gambit aren't exactly together, and he's throwing cards, and one of the cards that he throws into the fire is the Queen of Hearts. So we saw that a few episodes ago when he dropped the Queen of Hearts, and now among the cards he throws and burns is that same queen, is another Queen of Hearts. So yeah, this was a very emotional scene. Very, very impactful. I thought it was a very well done scene. So yeah, we go and we get the actual Hellfire Gala. So, oh boy, there was some shade thrown here between Magneto and Agent Cooper. And even she's kind of like, this is a little weird. Because even with his background, she's kind of like, well, a lot of free nations don't exactly let terrorists be their leaders. And he immediately quips back with, and most nations don't allow their leaders to be terrorists. So, yeah, there's a lot of tension between these two, and it is palpable. And then we get that awkward scene where Magneto and Rogue basically kind of cement the figurehead relationship. They dance. There's a part where they kiss at the end, and no, please no. But overall, in that moment, Rogue kind of realizes her feelings, and sometimes things go more than skin deep. She basically realizes, she's completely for Gambit. We scroll down to kind of the bar area. Gambit and Madeline are sharing a drink. But she also gets that little psychic energy burst thing that we saw Jean have a few minutes ago in the episode. So, yeah. Then we go outside and, oh, hey guys, Cable's here. He's kind of running around trying to get people to turn the music off, warn them, get out of there. But apparently at this point, it's whatever Cable came to accomplish may not have affected the timeline. He must have run out of time. He is whisked back away. But not before he sees Madeline Pryor. And she looks at him and she realizes by the eyes that that's it. That's her son. Cable is Nathan Summers. And as he's pulled back through the time portal, he's like, I'm so sorry, Mom. It's like, sorry. Sorry for what? And boom! Yo, we just turned into a disaster movie at this point. There is a massive explosion. There is just, we see this massive thing. It is like, literally, it looks like a kaiju. Like this weird insectoid creature body with 3 Master Mold heads on it. And this thing is literally dumping sentinels out of it like they are soldiers being dropped from a dropship. Like, things just go boom. And insane mutant casualties. Like, we straight up see Banshee grabs a mutant, he's flying off, and he gets vaporized by this thing. Like, yeah. So they're going, this giant creature thing takes a shot at Rogue and Magneto, and Nightcrawler bamps in, boops them out of the way, but he does take some of the blast. Rogue goes up, she's about to touch him, and then realizes she doesn't have her gloves on. But luckily, Gambit swoops in, takes his pulse, but Nightcrawler is alive, barely, but they're fine. And then just, we see that even Magneto's like, how many? He's just like, too many. We straight up see Dazzler dead. Shaw dead. Moira McTaggart dead. We see Callisto die. Like, her pupil contracts and you can tell, like, the way it's animated, her body goes limp. Dead. Like, we are talking, like, nuclear war. Yeah, the body count is staggering. So, Magneto actually takes charge. He's like, no, all right, here's what we're going to do. Rogue, clear a path. Get Gambit over there. We got to save the, go save the Morlocks. Because they are in a very area. People are leading through theirs. Because, yeah, more than likely, they're probably going to need some help from the Morlocks and their powers. Yeah. It's insane. And, like, it was crazy. Like, Magneto goes in. Now, the awesome thing is, Gambit pulling some Akira moves here because he grabs a motorcycle. He's doing flips and jumps with it. He's flinging his cards. And his power level is super concentrated today. Like, he's literally slicing Sentinel heads off with just a single card. So, he is focused today. Magneto's taking a lot of beat down from the from this insane thing, the Sentinels that are flying all around. He actually gets hit with a blast. And he gets knocked into this statue of Charles Xavier. It falls down. It is very heavily implied there are casualties under that statue. So yeah, this is not good. And even then, Magneto has this great moment where he's like, they shall be avenged. Dude takes a monorail and just starts whipping the kaiju with it. So we see the Morlocks are kind of gathered in a building. And even then, they're just like, yeah, they're not very... yeah, they're not looking very optimistic here. Except for Leech. Leech is like, listen, we're going to be fine. Magneto said we don't need to be afraid. Callisto will find us, or Magneto will. And then, a Sentinel head comes flying through the window. But we see Gambit. He took care of another Sentinel. And yeah, the Morlocks are saved. So yeah. We get that, and they've now identified the Omega level threat that is Magneto. So yes, we have a confirmation that Magneto is also an Omega level mutant. His powers are off the charts. He's one of the most powerful in the world. But we do see Magneto protecting the Morlocks. He has a field built up around Leech and some of the others. And he takes a blast, full force. He builds a kind of a metal dome around Rogue and Gambit. But surprisingly, we take the blast and we're led to believe that Magneto is dead at this point. Magneto, the Morlocks. It's like, because the thing is, Leech is hugging on to Magneto. But Leech's power is that he inhibits mutant powers. So Magneto might have been able to take that blast if Leech wasn't so close to him. But yeah, Rogue goes straight up full rage mode. She's flying, like she's gonna try to punch straight through the thing. Gambit charges up the motorcycle and just chucks it at Rogue and knocks her down. So he realizes he's probably going to be the one who has to make some kind of a move here, and he does. we get to see some flips and some awesome footwork from Gambit. And he's about to strike into the Sentinel Kaiju with his staff. And then he is just, it extends out this tendril thing and it skewers him right in the side. So it pulls Gambit up in front of him. And he's like, mutant threat neutralized. Neutralized. Or so he believes. And Gambit, just a straight up G. This man gets the hero's send off. And he goes back to his sin. He gives a little twist on it, but he says, the name's Gambit, mon ami. Remember it. And through that tendril that is sticking out in his side, he concentrates his energy so much that the entire Sentinel Kaiju is turned into the explosive energy that Gambit is known to create. And this thing is destroyed. So yeah, the threat is gone there. But yeah, no. Gambit goes out like a boss. So we do switch over to the X-Men mansion. And understandably, the X-Men are in shock. They are seeing the reports come in. And even Scott's like, numbers. How many? How many, damn it? So we get another nice little basic swear there. Pushing the rating boundaries. Because this ain't a kid show, folks. No, this is not a kid show. This is definitely made for the audience that grew up on it. But we go back to Genosha. And Rogue is holding Gambit. She's straight up holding him. And the other mutants are looking on. They're seeing what happened. And we get the most gut-punching, heartbreaker line to end the episode. Where Rogue just says, Sugar, I can't feel you. Because if Gambit was alive and had the energy, she'd be absorbing his powers. She is physically touching him ungloved. Nothing is happening. And when she says, I can't feel you, we've actually faded to black. We hear those words on the black screen. And that's where the episode ends. So yeah, there's going to be some interesting things to happen here. And then the episode ends out where they do the typical outro of the show. And is a very slow, somber, like a funeral arrangement of the X-Men theme. It's kind of creepy. So this episode did so much. This was a gut punch of an episode. Like, whew. Like, I watched that ending a few times, and it's a rough one to watch. But the episode was so well done. I mean, there could be some things where the Cable storyline could come back into play. There's probably going to be some Cable shenanigans, some time travel stuff. Cable might probably succeed next time. Well, we'll probably get more of the X-Men actually involved there. But, so, I'm holding out hope. Maybe we get Gambit back. But, no matter what, this was Gambit's epitome moment. Like, this was better than any of the previous features that Gambit had in the original run. Gambit got his due. You know, he's been the loner, the rebel, the swamp rat, a thief. But at the end of the day now, there is no denying that Gambit is a true X-Man. Gambit is a freaking hero. And he got the hero send-off. Even if they do weird time travel shenanigans with Cable, bring him back. Gambit is solidified as a hero. And as my favorite X-Man, Gambit got his due. I am just so happy to see my man get his due. But that'll do it for this video, guys. What did you guys think of this episode? What theories do you guys have for how the season could end, how things could work, what's going to come next? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. Of course, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the content, and just thanks for coming along for the ride, guys. I'll see you on the next one.